Hey, this is Wileen Benson, and you are on the Daily Gratitude Call, where we start every day in gratitude. Gratitude is the highest energy state that we can be in. It creates a frequency of positive vibration that attracts positive experiences into our lives. Hey everybody, this is Wileen Benson. This is our Daily Gratitude Call. Thank you for being on our call today. Several things that were mentioned before we started our recording, had to do with friends. And actually, several times were mentioned, like the upcoming holidays. And I kept trying to, make some amazing something from that. And just friends was really the big thing that, was just kind of in the forefront. So that's what we're going to focus on today. Just something really simple, gratitude for friends. And we'll just see where that leads. So I'm going to set the timer for 90 seconds. We're going to do a private silent meditation on gratitude for friends. And then we'll share. We'll see what happens. So 90-second private silent meditation, gratitude for friends. Just writing down whatever comes to you, beginning now. All right. I got to spend some time with my family yesterday, just driving up one of the canyons of those many canyons that are around me where I live, the kind of spaces between the mountains that I love driving up there, and especially at this time of year when the leaves are changing. Most of the really bright colors have already passed. I think we just haven't had as much water, or I'm not sure exactly, what the reason is, but there's been, like when we drove up there, some of the aspen trees were still green. Some of them had totally lost their leaves. Some of them were yellow. Some of them were kind of like a dingy yellow. Usually it's like all at once, they're all yellow, and all at once they drop their leaves. But this year it's been really, really odd. So that was fun, just being able to have that time. I had two of my daughters and my son-in-law there with us, and my husband, and it was just heartwarming to me to have that time together with my family. And also when the place that we stopped to take some pictures, there were other families, and you could tell there were some like groups of friends as well that were taking pictures as well. And that was heartwarming to me as well. Just seeing, I know with COVID-19, there have been, we have to kind of get creative about the ways that we connect as friends, and even family, extended family. And it just was really heartwarming to me to see these groups of friends just coming together for the purpose of enjoying nature and taking pictures, capturing a moment. So just really grateful for those opportunities. And kind of how that ties into friends is that my kids are all adults now. One of our daughters chose not to come yesterday, and they have their own lives and live in their own homes. And it's kind of different now as almost an empty nester, that when I see them as family, there's like certain expectations that come with it. Well, if you're family, then you're going to come. It's like when your kids are little, you just pack them up and put them in the car and take them with you. You don't even give them a choice if they're going to come or not. But now they actually have a choice. And I find myself trying just a little bit harder. It's not, a set answer, whether they're going to participate in what I offer or not. And I have noticed that I am a little bit more conscious about like scheduling things around their schedules to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to come. And that's kind of what I do with friends. So anyway, I'm just seeing kind of a connection with friends now that they're out of the house and kind of have their own lives, that I'm treating them a little bit more like friends than I did as like just me and, us and our kids together as a family in one house. So just something interesting that I'm observing. Who else has something that they would like to share? Suzanne?
I put connection, support, and love.
Beautiful.
And our Facebook groups and social media has allowed us as a group to get together and connect.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt such an outpouring of love yesterday. I had several people wish me a happy birthday too. And so
your birthday was yesterday too.
Such a nice thing. Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Hey, birthday sisters.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Thank you. Beautiful. And those words that you said, connection, support, and love, that's definitely what we feel here on this call. So I can tell that we are friends. Thank you.
Yes.
Who else?
I'm really, really super grateful for my friends. I feel like that people, I just feel like they're gifts from God. I feel like each of you is a gift from God, and they are. The way I phrased it, I said, there are others on this path of discipleship, and I get to share with them and love them, and then I get to expand my soul, and they get to expand. So as I love and encourage them, I expand. And as they love and encourage me, they expand. And so it's this beautiful dance of life, of just that everything that God is, we get to experience, and we get to act out in our relationships, and friends are a huge part of that. Whether your friends are your kids, your husband, wife, people in the community, people online, like your neighbors, it doesn't matter. And Wileen, you were talking about your kids. One thing that I've said for a long time, since I realized that my son and I are really good friends, first I used to say, grow your own help. Okay. So they're not very useful when they're little, but they become useful. So you grow your own help.
I love that.
And then the other thing I would say is grow your own friends. It's like, look, I made a friend. Literally, I made this friend. So yeah, it's really fun and beautiful and inspiring all at the same time.
Beautiful. I love that. I agree with that when a true friend is someone who is going to give you the feedback that you need to grow, and that they're still your friend. You know, if you're receiving feedback, if you're giving the feedback and they're still your friend, then you know that that's a true friend. And I
Yeah.
love that idea of expanding the souls together.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Robert.
Thank you. Well, my first thought was, second thought was after you said something that reminded me of what I told my children, that it's easy to raise children. It's harder to raise adults. And so I concur with Laura, what she said, and even Suzanne, about building relationships. And I saw, a thought that came to me is like, well, what I considered my dad my friend, and I thought, no, I'm glad he wasn't my friend because he was my dad, because friends can come and go, and I only have one dad. But Dad fostered something in me that Mother did not. And what he would do and it was just, he didn't even know he was doing this, but he would massage our feet. All I had to do was ask, Daddy, will you massage my feet? And over years and years, I noticed the reaction that the boys, because that's just a family of boys, 5 of them, how we reacted to Daddy over Mother, and what relationships were fostered. And I observed that on that level, and I thought to myself, well, when I have children, I'm going to, and Dad became proficient in this part of your foot goes to this part of your body, and that was more than I wanted to learn, but I saw the reaction. And so when my children were day one into this world, I would tickle their feet, and they would flinch, just that little bit of a flinch, that feeling that most people don't touch my feet, but there's feeling in your feet that there's a slight reference to it in the scriptures with Jesus. But that aside, and I did that to all of them, and then when they were in their mid-teens and late teens, and even currently, but more in their late teens, and they still lived under our roof, they'd jump into the bed one after another and say, Daddy, will you tickle my feet? and me, I'm next, and so I fostered a relationship with them from day one that has grown, I think the right word, metastasized into a relationship of trust and connection. So
awesome. There are definitely some special things that kind of anchor in that feeling of, bonding and friendship. Love that. Thank you. Phil,
you're welcome.
I think you had something.
Yeah, I was reminded when I was young, in my late teens, I went to a Zig Ziglar seminar, and he said something that really impacted me about friends. And he said, you are what you are by what goes into your mind, and you act according to your thoughts. And he said, if you want to know how you are, then look at your friends. And if you don't think that you're like your friends, then they're not your friends. But if you hang out with them long enough, then you'll be like them. So if you want to change yourself, change your friends. And so that was really a big impact for me, and kind of a wake-up call, because I looked at my friends and I was like, oh wow, I don't like how they are, and I could see myself being swayed by their influence to into disobedience and stuff like that. And so I made a change, and I ended up joining the church and stuff because of that. And so, I then he said, if so find people that you like to be around, and then be around them. And so I started finding people who I liked being around, who built me up, and found out, more about those kind of people and the way they live their life, and ended up being, sharing their religion with them, and kind of changing what I considered to be fun activities. And
Mm-hmm.
I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it goes the opposite direction too, that as we become more of our authentic selves and really stand, in your own power, and living life according to who you are on the inside and that divine intelligence, then people start dropping away that don't really resonate with what you're sharing. So it could be, one way where you're being influenced by friends, but then there's also the opposite, is they're being influenced by you. And some people will continue to grow with you. And then there'll be other people who it's like, no, I'm going to go down this other path. And that's okay. We do end up surrounding ourselves. Eventually we surround ourselves with everybody that is resonant of who we are. And when we want to change, it just is a natural process. I think it's even a natural byproduct that the friends change. You can place yourself in a new situation to help you to change, like you're speaking of, Phil. And I think also it can be a byproduct too of you choosing to step up some of the other, things that don't fit, whether that be parts of your environment or people, relationships, whatever. If they don't fit with that new person that you're becoming, then they're going to fall away. Thank you. Any last thoughts before we shift into our permission process today?
I have a thought.
Melinda?
I was thinking about, so in high school and college, I ran cross country. And so just, it's kind of a longer distance run. And I think about when I'm running, those longer distance, there's these water checkpoints that you can, get just a little bit of relief, recalibrate, and keep going. And as I think about my friendships that I've had when I was younger and throughout my life, and how they drop away, or, but those really close friends, it seems that just when you need each other, you'll get a phone call out of the blue, or somehow they just know, like some people I, hadn't talked to for, 7 years or more, but they'll call in just these right moments as we kind of share and help one another. It seems like those really good friends can become those checkpoints as we continue through life. And I'm just feel really grateful for those close friendships that way.
Love that. Thank you. That's a really great visual, because I know I've never run marathons or, cross country or any of that kind of stuff. But I've seen, where they're running along and then there's people at the checkpoints that are just like holding out water, and they just grab the water as they go. And how welcome I'm sure that is. And the person who's holding the water out is, I don't know why that brought emotion to me, but that is, they're definitely part of that journey. And if without them, it would be impossible for us to be successful in our cross-country journey, because it's a longer process, and we need those little checkpoints of recalibration, like you said, restoration, bringing everything back to, having all the basic needs met. And part of that is just like a hug, like Deep T mentioned before we started the recording. Thank you. That human connection. Let's go ahead and just take a deep breath. And just really appreciate the time that we have here. This gratitude call could be considered a checkpoint every morning that helps to fill us up with those basic needs, that hug, extra water that we need to help us keep going. And also being aware of other checkpoints that God has put into place, maybe going to church every week. Maybe there are maybe some of you have I know Phil gets together with friends and does bike trips, sometimes just daily, weekly opportunities to connect with family, with friends, just feeling those situations and how they fill us up physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Our daily GPS. Things that really feed the spirit. And as you're noticing some of these opportunities that are available to us on a regular basis to really feed our souls, what is one thing that you're learning right now about those situations that appear, that just happen to come at the exact perfect moment? What's some new learning that you can grasp right now? What's your intuition telling you about these special opportunities that we have on a regular basis to really feed our souls? And as you're noticing some of this, some new learning, what is a limiting belief that might be showing up at the same time? And what's the cost of that limiting belief? If you hold on to that limiting belief, what would be the cost of that restoration and rejuvenation that we receive from these perfectly placed checkpoints? And if you don't like that cost, if you are unwilling to continue allowing yourself to live with this limiting belief and you want to give yourself permission to choose a new belief, say yes.
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 Awesome. So what are some new beliefs that will allow you to fully engage in these checkpoints that have been placed for our benefit? What are some new beliefs that will maybe even allow us to notice or even create, proactively put in place some other checkpoints? Connection with people, or connection with God, connection with ourselves. What new beliefs, maybe 2 or 3 new beliefs, will replace that old limiting belief and will allow you to, that your spirit to be fed on a regular basis? And just really bring those new beliefs into your body and use these new beliefs as an opportunity right now to refuel, to restore, to recenter, to rejuvenate you. Allow these new beliefs to be like water to the soul, living water. And as you're breathing in and receiving this restoration to the soul, also be aware of the one most important thing that you could do today to make sure that you, going forward, don't skip those checkpoints, that you allow yourself to be rejuvenated in those checkpoints. That even if you don't feel like you need it in the moment, you know that it's going to be a while before there's another checkpoint. And so it's really crucial that you take advantage of those, that living water that is available to you. Water that feeds the spirit and rejuvenates the soul. What's the one most important thing? What's your inspired shortcut to assuring that you notice and take advantage of those checkpoints that are available to you? And if you need to add any more new beliefs to make sure that you will take action on that inspired shortcut, go ahead and take a moment to do that now. Create a new belief that will really empower you to take that step today to fulfill that inspired shortcut. In a moment, I'm going to open it up for some shares. We have time for just a couple. And I would also like to invite anyone that is struggling in this area to reach out to me and have a 15-minute mentoring session. All you have to do is just go to askwylene.com and you can schedule a free 15-minute call. That'll take you directly to my calendar and you can schedule a time that's convenient for you. askwylene.com. Who has something they'd like to share about their experience today?
I'll share.
Tammy, thanks.
So the words that came to me are that there is not a set number of spiritual experiences that we are able to have. As we continue to seek to align with our Father in heaven, we are able to have more and more of these experiences on a regular basis that feed our souls. God will pour out more and more as we seek and align with Him. And I am so grateful for these type of experiences, because the more I have, the more I yearn to have them more regularly. And it's just continually building this connection with me and my Father in heaven. And it is becoming more powerful than I've ever experienced.
Wow, so beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that, Tammy. Betsy, did you have something?
Yeah, the thought that came to me was that there's hope in movement, and in forward motion. And so the new belief that I wrote was, I bravely step forward in inspiration and surety. Like there's a solidness in those forward steps. And as I'm preparing, my morning routine has just been all over the place. I really haven't found anything that stuck. And so I've been inspired to write, to get kind of a journal and workbook for ladies at this upcoming retreat. And my inspired step was that. I need my own Betsy version that has just a few things to check off. And then some open-ended questions to write journal, that it's a flow that fits with me, that this isn't for them. I need to write this daily thing for me that is inspired for me. And I mean, it was just beautiful. I'm totally doing that today.
I love that. And can I make a suggestion that might help? Because I know you're so amazing at creating these retreats. What if you called it, instead of like your daily routine or whatever, you call it your daily retreat?
Oh,
That's awesome. Can I just break in for a second?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
I love that, because the name that I've been inspired in that really has stuck is True Colors Retreat. And that's going to be solid going forward. And so, that moment with myself every morning is being raw and sharing my true color myself and getting there. And what does the Lord want me to shine that day?
Well, that's exactly what we invite people to do when we're in a retreat setting, right? That's why we create a more than one day experience, because it takes more than an hour for people to really get into that vulnerable space. So that word retreat just feels like it really fits.
I love that. Yeah, thank you.
And this is something you could even teach other people, your daily retreat.
I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. I just want to share one last thing before we end today that when I chose, when we said we were going to be talking about friends, that had nothing to do, it felt like it had nothing to do with what my daily GPS was this morning. But I want to share, because this has really been like the next level of what I needed. In my daily GPS this morning, I was using the word maintain. And Betsy, I think you even said something about maintenance, like daily maintenance or something. And I just saw that word for what it really was. And I wrote, let me see if I can find it in the word maintain is death. And I put death in capital letters with exclamation point, because everything that is living is growing. And you guys have really taken that new understanding today to a whole new level with this cross country, like you mentioned, Melinda, and just moving forward and looking for those opportunities to rejuvenate and just constantly being on a growth pattern. There is no maintenance. It's you're growing or you're dying. There's no staying the same. And I'm just really grateful, first of all, to have that new realization today, because that totally changes like the way that I show up in my daily retreat, my daily schedule. And it's just like, I feel like I have a whole new way of being now with what I've learned. And anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate everyone and everything that has been shared.
You know, one thing that you haven't mentioned, speaking of that journal, is your journal or your planner. I mean, the planner, you used to use 3 different planners, right? And then we brought that together and made it into one. I got to tell you, for the daily GPS, I think the planner makes a huge difference.
It does.
Like, it just makes such a difference to have it. I mean, because I ran out, and as you know, and I helped you create the thing, and like I didn't have one, but then when I got it and I've been working in it, it's really made a big difference. So I just I don't know. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. I know those of you who have, thank you. I know those of you who have the planner, I have heard that from you over and over and over again. So I'll make sure I put a link in the blog when I post this. I'll make sure I put a link in there for those who haven't heard about that. Thank you. I appreciate
Betsy, you're next. I mean, I can see it. I already can see it in my mind, what you're doing. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Cool. Okay, we'll have to talk.
Thank you. Wileen, I have just one more quick thing, if that's okay, about the GPS planner, because when I was I served a mission for my church, and there were many times that in my scripture study I would just pray and say, okay, what do I need to learn today, and just literally fly open my scriptures. And so I've done that periodically through the years, but now I feel it's almost like you have given me permission again to just not worry about my structure of the study that I was doing, of, it's okay, just do what's that one scripture that the Lord wants you to learn today, and what's that one. And kind of going back to that, I just feel more and more in touch and inspired. And it goes along with what's your daily action? What's that inspiration? And so I love that I'm renewed that way. And so, gratitude for that, Wileen. Seriously, Laura, spot on.
Beautiful. Thank you, Betsy. It's something that I use every day. I mean, that's what I grabbed when I was looking for that statement that I wanted to read to you about maintaining. And, it really truly has helped. It's even though I've been doing it for like 7 or 8 years, this last, however long since we have had the planner, my GPS has just leveled up. It is an amazing tool. So thank you. I'll definitely put that in the post or post that in the blog. Thanks, everybody. Let's continue our conversation over on the Breakthrough with Gratitude Facebook group. We encourage you, if you're listening on the podcast, to join us there too. We'd love to know who you are if you're not here live, and to be friends with you as well. So thank you all. We look forward to being back together tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Thank you.
Thanks, Wileen.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for listening, and I encourage you to tune in every day to the Daily Gratitude Call. And the Daily Gratitude Call happens live every weekday morning. We'd love to have you join. So to find out how to join live, go to my website, WileenBenson.com. Thanks for tuning in.